Sent from Disneyland, history in our hand. So much to say about yesterday and the decades we have spanned. Postcards from the park, this journey will embark. See what has changed and what remains on Sent from Disneyland. Sent from Disneyland.
Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this podcast, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland, Disneyland history, and more, with mementos, snapshots, souvenirs, and postcards sent from Disneyland, from 1955 to the present. Let's start by thanking my patrons from Patreon.com. You can join in at any level to support the show and receive snail mail from my trips to Disneyland and from my desk, plus some sneak peeks and bonus content. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the rest of the e-ticket patrons, Tania, Eric Daniels, Monica Seitz Vega, Bill Dreffel, Scott Cagle, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Angela Reynolds, Grace Coate, Patty Wolin, and Ben and Noel Bruning. B-ticket patron Joshua Bell, and to the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Angel DeBlock, and the Beyond the Railroad podcast. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has a Main Street Railroad station, with the E.P. Ripley pulling into the station carrying yellow passenger cars. Below the station is the floral Mickey, and above in the clouds it reads, "Greetings from Disneyland." On the back it reads, "The Disneyland entrance, set in flowers, is as beautiful as Disneyland itself is wonderful. The Santa Fe and Disneyland Railroad Station sits atop the berm in all the glory of a transportation system of the 1900s. It's postmarked July 21st, 1956, with a Pasadena cancel and a 3-cent purple Liberty postage stamp, Scott number 1035. I assume they visited the park on Friday, July 20th, 1956, when park hours were from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. The weather was a high of 85 and a low of 59. Park attendance that day was 18,699. It's addressed to the File Room Gals and others of Portland, Oregon. It reads, Saturday. Hello, everyone. Fabulous spot. I didn't begin to see all of it. We'll have to make another trip. Weather quite warm. Lovely spot here at hotel. Leave for Vegas tomorrow. Bye for now, Scotty. While looking through my 60th anniversary things for last week's episode, I found a book with a sticker on it with the 60th Diamond Celebration logo on it. It's in the style of a yearbook and similar to the previous publications Disney has released for other anniversaries. Although it is not completely branded for the 60th, it was published in 2014 and is a great window into what Disneyland looked like 10 years ago. The book is called Celebration of New Magic and Fond Memories, Disneyland Resort, and was written by Tim O'Day and Kevin Kidney. It begins with an intro and some history about the parks, as well as the 2 authors' histories with the parks. What's fascinating to me are the changes that have happened within the last 10 years. On page 24 and 25 of the book, there are images and descriptions of the Red Car Trolley and Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, 2 attractions that are no longer available at Disney California Adventure. Although the streetcar is still available for photos on Buena Vista Street, and the old Hollywood Tower Hotel has been rethemed with Guardians of the Galaxy, they're not exactly what they were in this book. The next piece of Disney California Adventure Past is the 3-dimensional zoetrope made by Pixar Animation Studios for Toy Story 2, with Woody, Buzz Lightyear, Jessie, and Bullseye, as well as some Parachute Army Men, Little Green Men aliens, the Luxo Ball, and Wheezy the Penguin, that used to be inside the animation building. There's one page dedicated to Muppet Vision 3D, which used to be in the Hollywood Studios backlot. This attraction closed shortly after this book was published at the end of 2014. One of the larger changes that happened in Disney California Adventure within the last 10 years was the removal of Bugs Land and all of its attractions, as well as retheming the Pacific Wharf and Paradise Pier. Seeing the photos of Bugs Land in the book, it was probably the largest change as the area was completely rethemed, whereas Pacific Wharf received some design changes to become San Francisco Square, and Paradise Pier was rebranded as Pixar Pier. Most of the shape of the 2 lands stayed intact, but the Big Hero 6 characters were added for San Francisco, and the Pixar themes were incorporated all around the pier. It's interesting to look at the old themes of the stores, restaurants, and buildings. Add some flair to your mail by checking out stamps at Enfield Post. You can explore different stamp options on our Etsy site, grab some great deals by following the EP Sunday sales on Instagram, or create something special and have her design a stamp array for your invitation or celebration. You can head over to enfieldpost.com and explore all the different vintage postage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELDPOST on Instagram and enfieldpost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has the Main Street Station, with the Ernest S. Marsh pulling in guests with front-facing passenger cars. Below, you can see the floral Mickey Mouse, and above it reads, "Greetings from Disneyland." On the back it reads, "Guests entering Disneyland are greeted by a floral Mickey Mouse and the Santa Fe and Disneyland Depot, where a scaled-down model of a passenger train of another era puffs out of the station to take them on a scenic tour of Disneyland." It's postmarked July 31st, 1976, with a Whittier cancel, and no postage stamp as it's been removed. I assume they visit the park on Friday, July 30th, 1976, when park hours were from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. The weather was a high of 81 and a low of 63. It's addressed to Miss Joanne Guston of Cincinnati, Ohio. It reads, July 30th, 1976. Dear Joanne, Sarah Lowe and I spent my birthday at Disneyland. We also saw Knott's Berry Farm and drove up to Hearst Castle. We saw the Pacific Ocean. Today we start home, going to Las Vegas, Grand Canyon. Love, Anna Lee. I thought there would be less changes in the Disneyland section of this book, but realized there has been some significant changes over the last 10 years in that park as well. Starting at Adventureland, there's a new crew climbing their way to safety from the Rhino. In the New Orleans Square photos, regular guests still had access to the Court of Angels, and although not shown, Tiana's Palace now occupies what was the French Market. The most recent change you can see from 10 years ago to now is the transition from Critter Country to Bayou Country, and from Splash Mountain to Tiana's Bayou Adventure. In Toontown, the largest change was the addition of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Rail. Because this was an addition to the land, there are no images in the book of the shops and storefronts that the facade and the new attraction replaced. In Fantasyland, there are only two changes that would affect photos in a revision of this book. One is the retheming of Pinocchio's village house to the Red Rose Tavern, and the second would be the change of Snow White's Scary Adventure to Snow White's Enchanted Wish. Finally, in Tomorrowland, there was only one change, although within the 10 years, the show building has gone through multiple iterations. At the time this book was released, Innoventions still was in the building that used to be America Sings and the Carousel of Progress. Since then, it has been made into the Tomorrowland Expo Center and has housed Star Wars Launch Bay and the Superhero HQ. That building is now an occasional meet and greet location, premium fireworks seating, as well as a Disney Vacation Club member lounge. My incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is a craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern or 6 Pacific. Art Throwdown is a wonderful community of artists who love to share their craft, from creating sticker postcards and coloring techniques to intricate paper cutting and unique crafting. It's always a treat to watch a show and occasionally get some one-of-a-kind postcards from the group. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has a letter carrier with a mailbag and letters flying out. Behind him is a residential area as well as a city skyline. It's postmarked March 6, 2025, with a Kansas City, Keep Safety in View as we deliver for you, USPS vehicle cancel, and a first-class U.S. flag over farm postage stamp, Scott number 3449. It reads, 28 February 2025, save the USPS. Rain or shine, happy mail arrives on time. I hope the joy continues to be delivered. Love, Rhonda. Thank you so much for the postcard, Rhonda. I do love getting happy and magic mail in my mailbox. The USPS is a great service, and it's a great way to send something a little bit more meaningful and much more tangible than a text message or an email. It's been amazing to connect with old friends and make new friends with postcards. It was fun this week to have two postcards that were 20 years apart, and each were headed to Las Vegas after Disneyland. I just did a similar thing and will be heading home to my mailbox soon. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment on whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at sentfromdisneyland or my website, sentfromdisneyland.com. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent from Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney-related properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to the host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. This podcast is produced and edited by Clocky McDowell, website designed by Misty McDowell, theme song was written and performed by Noah Sunday Lefkowitz. Take it away, Noah.